their career head-to-head. Lamar dominating 6 wins 2-1. Brew, are you worried about the Ravens and Burrow's return?
Not worried, but my antennas are up. Like, I'm at attention now. Like, and I'm sure the Ravens are the same way. What was going to be most likely an easy win is now going to be a tough win. And I think the defense will be the difference. Baltimore's defense, we know how well they're playing. And Cincinnati's defense is, without question, the worst. And as many bad defenses as there are in the league, they are by far the worst. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They give up the most points. Like, they are a horrible defense, and I think that'll be the difference. As well as, it's not just that Lamar has owned the Bengals, 10-1 against them, 6-1 against Burrow, but Burrow is not great for whatever reason. He's not great coming off rest or the off season or whatever. Here's the graph. Now, these are his first games of the season for his career. All right? 76 passer rating.
This year he was healthy.
This year they were 2-0 and didn't play well.
He did not play well.
And he did the preseason this year.
Oh,
Remember they tried to split it up. They're like,
and they did win those games, but
he wasn't good. The 5-5 TD interception ratio, like, he is clearly a rust guy over rest. And so I'm not expecting, now maybe he'll play well, I'm not expecting Joe Burrow, the Joe Burrow that we all know and respect at his best to be there tomorrow. I'm expecting a rusty, plays okay Joe Burrow. But look, it's Joe Burrow, so their antenna should be up, and I'm sure it is, but I think the Ravens will pull it out.
So, Brew, you and I were going the same place on Burrow, which is he's just – he in particular this applies to, but I think we do a bad job with this in general with athletes and across sports, which is assume guy who was out for a long time with injury, when they're back, they're going to be their regular self. Right. And that is just so rarely the case. But Burrow in particular, when you also add to it our knowledge that he takes a few weeks in a season to kind of get into a froth, that makes me feel like you guys, obviously you're more worried about him than Flacco, because Flacco seemed to have cooled off a bit. But I don't think you're getting peak Joe Burrow. What I am most interested in this game, KW, is I think the Bengals defense is still awful, like truly terrible. And if historically Lamar has put up cartoonish stat lines against awful defenses. It's not that he hasn't done well against really good defenses, but the game where it's like, oh, he had more touchdowns than incompletions and had a 148 passer rating. One of those 17 of 21, 5 touchdowns, 220 yards, something like that. And if we don't see that this week, then I would be very concerned about is, for one reason or another, is Lamar post-hamstring injury and then hamstring to knee to ankle to toe just not going to cook the way he has?
It's interesting. I'm glad Nick redirected the conversation back to the Ravens, because the real focus shouldn't be on the Bengals. Nick's perspective was largely in line with my own, though I believe he took his conclusion about Lamar and the team a bit further than I would. My viewpoint centers on the Ravens' offensive unit as a whole, not solely on Lamar Jackson as an individual. I'm not demanding that Lamar produce those outrageous video game-like statistics. However, I absolutely need to see this Ravens offense demonstrate its legitimacy, and the matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals is the perfect litmus test, because their defense is fundamentally deficient. Let's be clear about the Bengals' defense. It is a significant problem. They surrendered 27 points to the Jaguars, 48 to the Vikings, and 28 to the Broncos, a score that could have been even higher, frankly, and that was before Denver had fully hit their stride. They gave up 37 to the Lions, 27 to the Packers, 31 to the Steelers, 39 to the Jets, 47 to the Bears, another 34 to the Steelers, and 26 to the Patriots, and that wasn't even New England's most potent offensive outing. This defense is a liability. There is no other way to frame it. Therefore, it is completely unacceptable for the New York Jets to have appeared more formidable on offense than the Baltimore Ravens, a team led by Lamar Jackson. I don't require a return to peak MVP-level Lamar, where everyone is proclaiming he's back. But you do need to come away from this game feeling that this offense can still operate at will against a profoundly weak defensive unit. This is where I diverge from Nick's more extreme position, which seemed to suggest that if we don't see a dominant performance now, we may never see one this year. I don't subscribe to that absolutist view. A poor showing would simply amplify existing concerns. It would force you to seriously question Lamar's health. Is he still working his way back to full fitness? Can he get healthier as the season progresses? Or is this the version of the player we should expect for the foreseeable future, limited by his physical condition or the current construction of the offensive scheme? While this single game won't provide a definitive answer, it will go a long way in shaping our perception. You would be right to feel greatly concerned if this offense sputters against the Cincinnati Bengals. Paradoxically, I would be more encouraged to see the Ravens lose a high-scoring shootout, say 45-44, where Lamar and the offense were clearly legitimate and explosive. If Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were simply unstoppable, I could live with that outcome. I wouldn't even view it as a major indictment of the Ravens' defense. I'd think, so be it. At least I would have seen the Baltimore Ravens offense demonstrate its full capability. I would know that if there are any defensive issues to address, the offense is fully equipped to compete. You'd get the sense that, okay, Lamar is back, Derrick Henry is a force, Zay Flowers is making plays, they are ready to contend. Honestly, that scenario would leave me feeling more optimistic. Naturally, from a pure standings and playoff perspective, you'd prefer the win. Every single game matters immensely in the chase for postseason positioning. However, I tend to prioritize the qualitative aspects, how a team performs, and how you feel about its trajectory moving forward, over the complex mathematics of the standings. That's my fundamental position on this. What I truly want is to watch this game and have that moment of recognition, to be able to say, okay, that's the Lamar Jackson I remember. And as I stated, this doesn't require a statistically historic performance. I just want to observe an offense where everyone appears healthy, the operation feels organized and smooth, and the execution is precise. You want to see an opening drive that makes you say, wow, that was a great series. They had a clear plan, they executed it flawlessly, and they scored a touchdown in 1 minute and 25 seconds. You want to see moments where you think, they simply cannot stop Derrick Henry tonight. Or, did you see how wide open Zay Flowers was? That's the evidence I'm seeking. Furthermore, the circumstances are favorable for the Ravens. I'm almost certain that Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins is out, I believe, with a concussion. I saw it on the ticker earlier, so I'm confident that's the case. This means the Bengals offense isn't even at full strength. It's primarily Joe Burrow carrying the load. I actually defended Lamar earlier when Nick suggested he might be rusty. I argued that missing a few games wouldn't necessarily lead to traditional rust. However, Joe Burrow has missed a substantial chunk of time and didn't get a proper start to the season either, dealing with a significant injury. He hasn't been able to practice consistently or get real game reps. So I can easily imagine him being quite rusty in this game. Maybe he'll surprise us, maybe he won't. Ultimately, this is a critically important game for the Baltimore Ravens in terms of building their identity and fostering confidence. They absolutely need this. Every new season is a fresh journey, a process of self-discovery, where a team figures out who they are and how legitimate their aspirations are. A convincing, easy victory where the offense is firing on all cylinders would be immensely valuable. It would go a very long way in building that crucial internal belief within the locker room that they are a force to be reckoned with. Those are my reflections. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson? Do you have any concerns heading into this matchup against the Bengals? What do you want to see from them? What do you need to see to feel confident? What do you actually expect to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, let's get some discussions going. Let's get into some friendly debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun with it. Please consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you become a part of it. I want to create something we all feel genuinely connected to, something we're truly excited to be involved with. I believe we are well on our way to achieving that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely helps with visibility and the platform's algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.